The following podcast contains spoilers for The Handmaiden and Blindspotting. You have been warned.
Welcome back, everybody, to another exciting episode of KFR News Radio. It is Glenn and Michael here, and we have two movies we're going to talk about. I don't know if you've been with us the last few weeks, but we are going to talk about two freaking movies.
We are.
Mike, what are these movies?
Well, we are going to be speaking about The Handmaiden, directed by Chan-wook Park, or Park Chan-wook, depending on where you live, and Blindspotting, directed by a guy.
Oh, come on, this is the most
whose name?
Spanish name in the
Carlos
world.
Lopez Estrada. Estrada. Yeah, that jaunt. But yeah, last week, surprisingly, no movies made it onto the shelf. We are still standing at one movie with Outlaw King. And we're going to see if these two movies can get on. But first, Glenn.
Miguel.
See any movies last week that you want to talk about?
Believe it or not, I didn't see anything this last week. Like, at all.
I barely saw anything.
I said I was going to see Creed. We never got around to that. And it's pretty much been my life because work just started. The holiday season at UPS is getting hectic.
I can imagine.
I have only enough time to sleep. Sometimes photosynthesize, but that's about it.
I mean, even I only saw two movies, none of which are really worthy of talking about. But I saw The Grinch with Benedict Cumberbatch and Kiss of the Spider-Woman, which is a 1985 movie with William Hurt and Raul Julia. And
that's an interesting sounding Spider-Man movie that I had no idea came out.
It's far from a Spider-Man movie. It's about a gay man and a political prisoner who are in prison together, and the gay man narrates stories of two fake movies and his own life. Actually, that's IMDb synopsis.
Pretty close to the plot.
Oh, yeah, it was okay. I mean, it was in that 1001 movies you must see before you die book.
Yeah.
It was entertaining. It was well made, but nothing to write home about, really. Okay. And I'm sure someone would disagree with me on that, but you know what?
Everybody disagrees with everybody, though.
That's true. Everything is awesome.
Let's get that fact out there.
Everything is cool when you're part of a team. But let's get into the nitty-gritty, good sir, with The Handmaiden.
さあ、やるべきことは忠実にやってるのか? 내가 여熟しておる. 바로 둘만 있을 기회를 만들어줘.
나한테 거짓말만 하지 마. 알았니? 당신은 나를 탐았고 불쌍한 조선인 하녀라고 생각하겠지. 모두가 빌어먹게도 제 역할을 잘하고 있어.
I recognize that most, if not all of you, probably don't understand what's going on in that trailer because it is indeed in Korean. But trust me, just check it out. It's a good trailer.
A woman is hired as a handmaiden to a Japanese heiress, but secretly she's involved in a plot to defraud her. That's as good as it gets right there.
Yeah, yeah. So this is directed, as you may know, by Chan-wook Park of Old Boy fame. He also did Thirst, Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, pretty much all the Vengeance movies that you may or may not know. And it's a South Korean film starring Min-hee Kim, Jung-woo Ha, Jin-woong Cho, Hae-suk Kim, and Suri Moon. And I extremely apologize if I mispronounce any of those, but I think I got them pretty good.
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, one thing that's new this week is both of these movies we're going to talk about I have seen.
Yeah,
and I have not.
I'm kind of
interested in what you have to think, Glenn.
Yeah, so pretty much this is an episode all about your boy.
Your boy
And
Glenn.
how badly he can review both of these movies. Not
I mean, I'll
as in
chime
they
in,
were
try
bad,
to
but-
help you out a bit.
Yeah, so where do I even start? The Handmaiden. My
Well,
goodness.
I mean, if it helps you out, this is based on a English book or Welsh book. The author
a
is
book.
Welsh. The author is Welsh. I believe it is in the English language by Sarah Waters. It's called Fingersmith, which kind of tells you everything you need to know. What do you think that? What brings that to mind when you think Fingersmith? So fingersmith is an old English term for essentially just a pickpocket or a thief. But if you watch it, having seen this movie, it's got a double entendre meaning, an innuendo, if you will. Because ultimately, this movie, Sarah Waters is kind of known for writing books about lesbians, I think, if I read correctly. And
If it ain't broke,
yeah.
don't fix it.
Yeah. So yeah, this is it kind of fits the whole theme here where two women kind of fall in love in a time period where it's not really
It's
You
not
know-
really, allowed.
it's not really loud. And this movie is just, the first time I watched it, I had no idea what the hell was going on. And honestly, upon viewing it a second time, this was my second time, I understand it a lot more. Like, I knew I liked it the first time I watched it.
Yeah.
But it really just kind of messes. There's so many twists and turns, and these people are tricking this person, and then you find out that person's actually in on another trick, who's going against another person, and then another person the person is on the trick, and everyone's getting tricked, and everyone's tricking.
Yeah, so
And,
I think for the first trick, I'd say at first I was like hesitant on whether or not I was gonna like this because I'm like, okay, you're hiring a chick to steal from this person. Mm-hmm. Okay, I don't know if that's too original. And then it's like, all right, hey, I know I'm gonna steal from you, but wait, I love you. And now I don't want to do this. And then there's a twist. And then there's another twist after that. And then I'm just like, I'm leaning in my seat, like chin through my throat. Just, what is happening?
Yeah. I don't know if you would agree with me on this, but it's a notion, it's a opinion I've had for quite some time. South Koreans just make better movies than Americans. They're
Yeah.
yeah, like they
For
just
the
get
3 or 4 that I've actually seen, I would say yes.
yeah, they just get away with so much more than American audiences would allow. So they just kind of
Absolutely.
they don't have as much rules to follow as to what's possible.
Yeah, there's not really. I wouldn't say isn't restrictions, but they definitely kind of do what they want.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, I kind of fell in love with Korean films when I watched Old Boy for the first time, and I just kind of would watch more. Then there's The Host, The Wailing, Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance. This I could go on. Train to Busan, that's another great one, and they just have. It's just. You think American movies can be dark until you see South Korean movies, and you're just like, holy shit. All Americans are Muppet characters and don't know what real struggle is.
Exactly. These movies are, bar none, some of the best movies out.
Absolutely. And I mean, so this movie does contain, a lesbian relationship, and I just want to tell the story. Well, I forgot how in depth into the relationship and how it's not graphic, but for lack of a better word, graphic the scenes get. And I live on a first-story apartment. My blinds to my windows were wide open, and I couldn't decide.
Yeah, it's a little explicit.
Yeah, during the extended lesbian sex scene, I could not determine whether or not it would be more awkward for me to leave the blinds open or for me to get up and close them if someone were looking into my window. What would have worse implications?
The best thing you could have done was just gotten up, and if there was happening to be somebody out there, you just look at them dead in the eyes.
And slowly close the blinds.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean this
With a
movie
box of
is
tissues in
yeah. This movie's in my opinion, it's fantastic. It won the BAFTA for Best Foreign Language Film at the 71st BAFTAs. The BAFTAs, for those of you who don't know, are kind of like the Oscars for England. It won the Palme d'Or in the 2016 Cannes Film Festival, and no, sorry, it was nominated, didn't win. The Palme d'Or is like the highest prize that you can get at the Cannes Film Festival. It's got a 95% on Rotten Tomatoes, so it is not without its accolades. And I think it really kind of deserves it. I'm actually surprised that it lost the Palme d'Or, although I haven't seen this. The movie it lost out to is I, Daniel Blake.
I mean, it's got to be good, considering.
Yeah, it's got to be good if it beat this out. But, I really... this movie's so well made, and I think it's easier to digest than Oldboy for some of those who may kind of want to experience South Korean films for the first time, but don't want to go as deep as Oldboy, because Oldboy gets real dark.
Also, it's a little it's a little messed up,
just a little bit, and this whole movie has great performances, and
by everybody too.
Yeah, every single person's on point. It kind of benefits from us not really knowing the actors as well as we know American actors, because then you can kind of buy it as a real story more than if like Brad Pitt was in it or
you also wouldn't, in my opinion, take that kind of movie seriously. Like, let's say Brad Pitt was this guy. And and then Gary Oldman was this guy.
Gary Oldman is
wouldn't.
both women.
He's
he could do it.
All right, I'd watch it.
He could do it.
I'd watch it.
Yeah, did a little research on this movie, or on the book that the movie's based on, and it kind of
Fingersmith
makes more sense. Yeah, the Fingersmith, or just Fingersmith. It's kind of like the whole thing is kind of just a reflection of how society sees women as objects, and pornography. The one of the main characters in the movie is forced by her uncle to read erotic novels in front of a bunch of men, and even in one part act out one of it with a wooden doll.
Yeah,
and it really kind of brings a whole new level of, I don't want to say seriousness, but it sheds new light on it when you think of it that way.
I don't know what the word would be, but it's something. It's something.
It's really something. The second time watching, I read about that before I even watched it. It's just so apparent that that's what it's about. Yeah. For better or worse, it does a really good job at kind of hiding its meaning behind what is going on. Like, it's not super obvious that it's like anti-patriarchy, which I'm fine with it being anti-patriarchy. I know some people get angry about that for whatever reason, but it's a good way to kind of show you how messed up society can be.
I think
with the
you said the Fingersmith was like about like a Welsh thing.
Well, it's essentially the same thing. It just takes place in
I think,
England than South Korea.
Okay, well, I think they picked like kind of like a perfect time, like era for this movie to be like set in place.
Yeah,
because like Japanese are pretty harsh about their rules and all that. So if anybody's gonna take it seriously, like lesbian lovers, it's probably gonna be That made me seem racist. But no, Japanese, they're pretty, they're pretty strict.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a proven, studied fact that they are.
I'm a scientist, everyone.
I don't want to say that they're strict, but they're more. I have no idea, but there's definitely a lack of reproduction happening in Japan for whatever reason. That is the only part that is factual that I am comfortable with talking about. Otherwise, I'm going to make myself look like a complete asshole who doesn't know anything. But I totally get what you're saying. We got to just steer away from foreign movies from now on.
No, but I feel like they picked a perfect like time setting to like do
Definitely.
it because it just works so well, and especially like how handmaidens themselves, they were basically just they were maids. Like that was it for them.
Yeah, they're there to serve whoever their lady or master is. One of the many things I think this movie did fantastically. It's really good at revealing things in an oh shit moment.
Yeah.
When like you realize the first time that you realize that the Count and Lady Hideko or Hideko, however you pronounce that, are actually colluding against Suki.
Yeah.
And like when you realize that they are going to be putting her into the mental institution rather than Lady Hideko. I gotta stop bringing her name. Hideko, yeah.
Yeah.
When you realize that instead of her going into the mental institution, it's actually going to be Suki. That's like oh shit! I can't believe that
the best part about that is like when that was happening, when she was like saying her goodbyes to Lady Hideko, and then Lady Hideko goes over to Count Fujiwara, and I'm just like, oh shit! Like
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was
that-
like me actually exhaling that out of my body. Said, oh,
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, he does such a real good job that like just turning the tables and revealing, like you're just like, where's she going? Why is she walking away? Why is Suki just staying there? I get why she's sad. Does she understand what's going on? You ask yourself questions and you learn what is happening with Suki, although she knew all along. But at the time, you don't know. And they
Yeah.
do that again real well when kind of revealing that that was always a plan of Suki and Lady Hideko's.
Hideko.
Hideko's. It was all part of their plan too. So it's just
Yeah, it's funny
so
because
many-
there's so many like little twists in this movie, and like I even wrote down a note. I'm like, man, this movie is competing with the newest Mission Impossible for twists. But then I
Yeah.
remembered this came out first, so it's the other way around.
Yeah. And like for how dark this movie is, it actually handles comedic timing really well.
Yes.
Like when Lady Hideko is about to hang herself, and then Suki saves her, and then when Suki realizes that they were colluding against her, she lets go.
Yeah, she 'cause she accidentally drops her, like
Yeah,
kind of in
not-
like a fit of rage.
Yeah, and it just how it happens. The shot, it's just an extremely long shot. You see Lady Hideko, the rope, like go tense around her neck, and Suki's just like motherfucker. It's really well timed comedically. Where like that woman is hanging, but it's funny, and it's meant to
Yeah.
be funny. Like that she's not in any danger. Suki's gonna save her, but just in a fit of rage, kind of forgot what was going on, and I thought
She
that
was
was really
just upset and let her lover die.
yeah.
We do that from time to time.
We do. And kind of going back to the whole society where women are objectified and everything. In the end, this turns really, really dark for Count Fujiwara.
Oh yeah.
Where he's kind of kidnapped by the uncle, and they starts cutting off his fingers. And while he's like bleeding and being tortured and everything, all the uncle wants to hear about is how having sex with his niece was. And
Yeah, he just wanted to hear about the erotic moments through it all.
and asked like in detail. And that's maybe not to that extent, but that's something that happens where like some guys only want to hear about the conquest more than like relationships and get details of what perverted things were done. And
Yeah, people
it's
are
so
obsessed.
yeah, it was so creepy. And this whole movie is just great and dark and so beautifully shot. The cinematographer Chung Hoon Chung, which is the greatest name ever. I actually love that name. He was a cinematographer for Old Boy, for It, the new It, for Stoker. He's pretty
Really?
much Chan-wook Park's go-to guy. But he just did a phenomenal job with everything, with lighting and color palettes, and of course that's working in close proximity to Chan-wook Park. But
Yeah.
it's a beautifully shot movie.
No, it absolutely is. Just the colors, the landscapes, the buildings, everything. Just the whole set design's just perfect.
And you even like going back to the acting, like you really believe that these women are in love, and it's not just like a fling of this is. I mean, there is the eroticism.
I was about to say, in one scene you can really tell.
Yeah,
because those girls went all
vagina
out.
Cam.
Boom,
Vagina
baby.
Do you remember Vagina Cam?
Oh yeah.
That part was like kind of laughable to me, and I don't know if it was meant to be, but it's just
that was
essentially
was
there's
just
this
all
one
up
part
in
where
it.
you see the scene from one of the characters' vaginas, essentially, and
basically the vagina's point of view. If it
yeah, exactly. Which
Welcome
maybe
to
I'm
KFR,
just
everybody.
immature, but it was definitely welcome to KFR, where we talk about vagina cams. But yeah, I really I enjoyed it.
What?
I enjoyed it. not vagina cam, just the movie
No,
overall.
I know. Yeah, no, oh man, the acting was so good in it. Like,
yeah, it was.
in Count Fujiwara, or as his actual name goes, Jung Woo Ha. He was really enjoyable. He was like very charismatic, and obviously that was his character. Like that was who. But man, you like pretty much thought that was him. Like that was just him. Just
Absolutely. And again, I wonder how much of that kind of goes to us just not knowing these actors very well. But there is something to be said about watching a movie. Like Hollywood is all about hiring people that other people know. And I get it, for financial reasons, that is the best move. But as far as becoming immersed in a movie, not knowing who the actors are is really more beneficial in my mind.
Yeah, it really was.
Let's move on to Blindspotting.
What is this?
Hey, I would like to get out.
Look at this.
A better one in the glove, though.
Yeah.
I ain't trying to go back to jail.
$200
Please let me
for Collins.
out. Not Collins' gun.
Very nice.
Oh, I just got an Uber pickup.
You got it. Is this an Uber?
Hell yeah.
Tell 'em, slow down. No, you can't catch me. I'm on too fast on the gas, don't chase me.
Put him up like this, you can.
I'm a tough guy.
3 a.m.
Do me a favor.
I got 3 days left on this probation.
When you got that gun on you, just don't tell me about it. Plausible deniability.
Oh, do you mean this gun?
Get out.
Good night, Colin.
Go.
Bro.
Stop! Stop! Don't stop!
While on probation, a man begins to evaluate his relationship with his volatile best friend.
You struggled through that one.
I did.
Struggle bus.
It was so hard. This movie is so, man, oh my God.
So again, this is another one that I saw before this, but I kind of wanted to share it with you because it's one of the movies that I kind of wish we reviewed on our YouTube channel, but you had betrayed me and left, and
We betrayed each other.
no, I mean I didn't betray anyone.
By me leaving and you letting me go. So
I mean, I had to let you go. If I loved you, to let go of the ones you love is to set them free. No, but the reason I wanted to watch this one, wanted you to watch this one, is because it's, it's my favorite movie of the year so far. And I know we talked about in our Annihilation review that I thought that there could be no other movie that beat it out. But guess what? A movie beat it out. And I was a fool.
What's crazy to me is that, like, Annihilation feels so long ago. So every time you bring that up, I'm like, we saw that last year, Mike. We saw it last
that was
year.
this year.
I know.
That was this year.
It's so weird.
But yeah, I mean, I just kind of wanted to share it with you. And as you know, MoviePass shat the bed. And is not as fun as it used to be, and I'm actually no longer with them. I have left MoviePass, but I do have something else that is almost as good, except for I have to go to AMC theaters. But
if you live where I live, there's one like 5 minutes down the road.
It's not that. Just all AMC theaters are trashy.
Listen, I know. But they've also got this nice deal where it's like $8 for a ticket in the movie. So
that in that sense is nice. But so when I went to go see this movie, it was like the first time that MoviePass really like fucked me over, and I had to pay for the ticket. And I went into the movie being very angry that I had to pay for a ticket. Having worked at a movie theater for so long, me having to pay for a ticket is not something that has happened much.
It's fucking blasphemy, Mike.
Yeah, although this
shouldn't happen.
And I was kind of ready to think this movie wasn't worth the money I spent.
Yeah.
But it was. It was worth the $13.25 that I spent on it.
$13.25. That's wow.
Yeah.
Big spender over here, everybody.
I mean, Regal. It's,
Moneybags Mike. That's his name in the
Moneybags
Pennsylvania
Mike. That's
state. Moneybags Mike.
And I just absolutely loved this movie when I first saw it. And now too, I still love it. I don't want to,
I mean, as much as I would love to break your heart, I have to say I'm very, 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 very glad that you recommended this movie.
Well, I'm glad I recommended it too.
Because, boy oh boy, did I enjoy it. I didn't watch it on any Redbox or anything like that, but I did rent it on Prime, Amazon Prime, and man.
Oh.
Was it Prime? Was it a Prime film? I don't even know where to begin. Just like the last one, I don't know where to begin. Man, this movie was so well balanced, almost in every
really
single way.
Yeah. So for once, the IMDb synopsis does not really do it justice.
No,
so
it
essentially, this movie opens with this guy being told he's going to be on probation for a year. And then it jumps to 3 days left on probation. And essentially, it's just him trying to not get in trouble and, not be re-put on, have his probation extended in the last 3 days. But
he's trying to be a good boy.
Yeah, in those last 3 days, he witnesses a cop shoot an unarmed man who's not only unarmed, but he's also running away several yards away, poses no threat to the cop at all, which is something I really appreciated, is that they didn't make it like a gray area where, the cop was being attacked or even could even hint that he was being attacked. It was like, no, this guy was running away.
Yeah. He was like a full 10 seconds behind the guy.
Yeah. And so I really they in that choice, they really took the opposite argument away. And that's not to say that cops' jobs aren't stressful, but even with the look that the cop gives the main character, Colin, played by Daveed Diggs, the look that he gives him after it happens is, I fucked up. Oh shit. He knows he was in the wrong.
In my eyeball.
And there's a witness. And I really like that they kind of got rid of that gray area. But then, the movie goes on and it's just him trying to cope with the fact that this happens, mixed with the fact that Oakland, the city that they live in and grew up in, is kind of being gentrified and everything's turning away. And I actually saw an interview with Rafael Casal, who plays Miles, and they were talking about how it was the movie's really about three identity crises. Where Colin is labeled as a thug, but he's trying to be a good person. Miles is seen as a fraud in his hometown because he's white, but everyone thinks he's a gentrifier and not from Oakland, even though he is. and then the city of Oakland has an identity crisis with like the whole gentrification. They're not really sure. The city overall is kind of like feuding with each other. Yeah, and I thought that was a really interesting look at it.
Yeah, and it's even on top of that, there's so many other themes that are in this, and it's so well done.
Yeah,
just like just between like how it is to be pictured in the eyes of just just white people or any other as a black man with dreads or something like that, or just in the cops, like the cops against like the minority and stuff like that. And oh man, it balances everything else so ridiculously
really does.
Well.
And it does a good job of mixing comedy and drama and knowing when to be in one, when to combine them both, like the scene where the customer at the moving store or the moving headquarters tells the story of how Daveed Diggs got arrested. But to him, it's funny and hilarious, and
it does
you
a
can
little
see the
drunk history thing where everybody's lips are synced up,
and you can see like how much pain it causes Daveed, the character of Colin, and it's like you said, it's so perfectly balanced.
Like the timing of all the humor, the drama, like the first like 10 minutes, you're strapped in for like a drama, like prison type thing, and then next thing you know, it goes into this hilarious bit where these guys are like smoking weed and holding guns in the air and just like
there's you're talking about the scene in the car,
the Uber car.
So to kind of paint the picture, there Colin, Miles, and another one of their friends is in this car. They're do they ever specify that they're smoking weed, or
I think they're smoking.
They're smoking something, and Miles and the driver are talking about guns, and of course, with Colin being on probation, he wants nothing to do with it. But he's in a car that only has like the doors, and he has to be let out of the back seat. So they start like showing the guns. He picks up one gun. He's like, "I'd like to be let out of the car." And
I'd like to get out of here, please.
Yeah, he just keeps pulling guns out of everywhere, like the
There's
glove
like
compartment.
6 or 7 guns in the whole car, and they're just like, "Why do you have this many guns?" And he's just like, "Listen, man, I'm in Oakland."
It's just got such good comedic timing in that scene, and
then after that, it jumps into like a whole different thing. There's no justice in how I'm even describing it. It's just so well done between the
really is.
Each like genre that it does.
Yeah, Rafael Casal, who plays Miles, he is just like the highlight of every scene he's in. He's so good. Like you really buy him as that character. And honestly, like I thought that that's just kind of who he was as a person. And then I saw an interview with him, and he's like, I don't want to say completely different, but it shook me how different he was from his character. Because sometimes you see like a character who's really good, and then you see, and you're like, oh, they were just playing themselves. But he was significantly different from who he is as a person.
I actually,
at least as you've seen in an interview.
As soon as he came in on screen, I actually didn't think he was. No offense to him, but I was like, oh man, this guy probably doesn't seem like he'll be great. Next thing you know, he's blowing it out of the water with his performance. That hair salon scene was so funny and had me dying.
Oh, yeah.
And then this guy, he goes around, Miles, he goes around trying to sell stuff for some extra cash. So he goes to a hair salon
trying to get his son
trying to
through
sell some secondhand hair merchandise. And it's so funny. And there's another scene where he's trying to sell a boat, and then there's just like this banter between him and the customer, just slang. And it's so funny.
Yeah, it really
actually
is
laughing
funny.
Like crazy.
And then he goes back to Colin, and Colin's like, "What were you saying?" He was like, "Oh, I have no idea."
Oh, I have no idea. But you got to have some
just
pop
like the way
to
it flows. Yeah. And a pleasant surprise in this is a little cameo. I don't know if you can consider it a cameo, but Wayne Knight, also known as Newman from Seinfeld, shows up about maybe 30, 40 minutes in, and creates another funny scene that kind of really builds the relationship between Colin and Miles, where he tells them to stare into each other's eyes, and they're like a little skeptical. And he's like, "It's not sexual." It's like, well, now that
it is now.
Yeah. It's just really great timing, and
And
you know, really
this
builds
movie's literally full of it. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, David Diggs and Raphael Casal. Actually, Casal. I gotta pick movies with names I can pronounce.
Raphael Casal.
No, I'm just a moron that can't pronounce easy names. But they actually went to high school together. So that's
Really?
They wrote this together and they went to high school together, and you can definitely tell the chemistry comes through in that sense.
It's actually awesome.
One thing I loved that this did was using kind of rap and slam poetry to show someone's emotions. Like this, shortly, like a couple nights after the he witnesses the shooting, Colin has this nightmare where he's on trial, and Miles is actually the lawyer who's prosecuting him, and the whole thing is like this rap music video, and it's just so well done. And if that were like an actual music video, I would not be surprised, but it's in a movie, which is even better.
It's a film video.
A film movie video.
Music film video.
Yeah.
I literally wrote down, Blindspotting is so good. Which,
so good.
not wrong.
Yeah.
But I think what I meant to put down was the scene where they're kind of like explaining the blind spotting, like what that actually means.
Yeah, the picture, I forget what it's called, but it's the picture
it's like
where you
vase
either see
thing.
two faces or a vase.
Yeah.
And it really like they sums up the whole movie in that, where when you look at someone, you can either see one thing or another thing, and depending on what you see, kind of tells more about how you were brought up than it does about that person, which is kind of beautiful in a way.
Yeah, I think that just in this type of movie where, like, you'll look at, let's say, Miles? Yeah, you'll look at Miles, you'll see that he's white, and, like, he's actually more of a bad guy than Colin is.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, he's the main reason
that
Colin got arrested in the first place.
And they hit that note so hard in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, and it's so impactful.
They have this conversation after Miles gets in a fight at a party. That conversation where Colin keeps asking why it's okay for him to call Miles the N-word, but not the other way around, you know, and kind of really makes you think, like, I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm kind of digging myself in a hole, but like that, I'm just taking my word for it.
It really
that
does make you
powerful.
think, like, it's so powerful. Like, it's not even something you should be thinking about. Like, well, wow, now I'm stuck in the hole you're at.
Yeah, it's not something you think about.
You shouldn't judge a book by its cover until you get to know the book itself.
Yeah, exactly. And
You know,
and when
that's basically
Miles,
the whole meaning of it.
Yeah, when Miles goes back home and his wife calls him the N-word, and he's just like, "Can you not call me that?" Like that kind of just like slammed that home, and it's such a well-written moment. And honestly, like, I don't know what I can say more about that because I'm white and don't want to say anything that might be taken the wrong way. But
Yeah, I mean,
it's
this movie can be enjoyed through so many different points of views and so
Absolutely.
many different themes, and I'm kind of like awestruck that it's even as low as it is on IMDb. Not that it's low, like, it's a good score, but like, it should be higher. In my opinion.
And it builds tension so well too, that like there's this part where one of the guns that Miles actually buys in the beginning of the movie eventually gets onto Colin's person, like right after the fight at the party,
and the tension in that scene.
Yeah,
too.
and anytime he's just, he has the gun on him, and like he's just walking down the street, it's just so intense.
And not even there's that scene. Like, just if you're watching this movie, you know what this dude's going through, that he's on probation, that he's so close to getting free. And anytime he's in a situation where, like, that could be screwed over, yeah, you're on the edge of your seat because you're, like, just waiting for something to happen. And you know it's just, like, at the edge of the corner there, just waiting to turn.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I thought that did that so well.
Yeah, and then just when you forget about it too, one of the last scenes in the movie, they go to Colin and Miles are movers. They drive a moving truck. They pick things up and move them to wherever they need to go. And they one of their clients' houses. They go to the house, and it's the officer that shot the guy in the beginning of the movie. The whole thing that's been kind of bringing stress and making him lose sleep in Colin's life the past couple days, and he's there face to face with the guy, and has a moment of weakness where he kind of just does something stupid, but you could tell that emotion is taking over than anything, and just when he breaks laws and doesn't break laws at the same time.
Yeah.
Like he's in the guy's house and pulls a gun on him, but also he pulls the gun because the guy's about to pull a gun on him too.
Yeah.
So it's all kind of understandable. And then he just has the whole thing where Miles says like, oh, they like it when you add a little bounce. So he kind of just tells the cop how he feels in a rap. And you would think that would be super cheesy, but it's honestly like one of the best parts, if not the best part of the movie. It hits it home so well.
Guess I'm just a little bigger than a picture, playing chicken with a cliff, but I ain't never been a flincher. Block is getting hotter. I'ma be the one to bring the winter. Fuck it, everybody want a body of a cop to splinter. I mean, why wouldn't I dead him? He's splitting wigs for 80K a year and ain't from here. He'll miss him if he disappear. Filling up with fear, I know you feel it. I've been feeling it for years. In fact, I don't remember ever never feeling it. The one who going dummy never felt the need to run, but I've been sprinting till I limp across the finish with a gun up in my blind spot. Really, ain't too hard to figure that you probably never really felt the pressure of a nigga, but you know what? I ain't never felt the pressures of a trigger.
Throughout the movie, it creates a world where it makes sense in the time that he would do this, and it doesn't feel forced. I mean, I don't like rap, but it's got some serious flow to it. Is that a thing the kids say, flow?
It's got some flow. It did in this movie.
It's such a powerful moment, and then it ends. Another thing it does really well is that you can see the pain in the cop's eyes. Not that that Colin is causing to him, but just like what he did is causing to himself.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't show that he's unremorseful like some cops have, and like George Zimmerman has bad, where like they kind of thrive in the fact that they did that. He really feels terrible for what he did and understands that it's bad, and you can see that in his eyes. And then that
cop did so. That actor, that cop, he did so well.
He's got like 3 lines in the entire movie, and he nails every single moment he has in the movie. And he after Colin leaves, Miles is still there because he's kind of shocked that what just happened too. And the cop turns to Miles and says,
I didn't mean to. Are you sure?
And it really kind of makes you think about like not so much the act itself, but the subconscious act of it, where like he thinks he didn't mean to do it, but did, the systematic racism that kind of runs part of this country, did that get in his mind and make him do something that he knew was wrong, but just because another guy was different from him and did something probably minor in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
It just really kind of hits it home. And like you said, everything's well balanced.
It's so well balanced.
So well balanced.
That whole little monologue you were just doing, while you were doing that, I just looked up who that officer was.
Mm-hmm.
And he's Rusty Griswold from Vegas Vacation. What? I can't look at that cop now the same.
What? You're kidding me, right?
I'm not kidding. That's Rusty Griswold from Vegas Vacation.
Well, good on him.
Yeah, for real.
Good on him. Hopefully this brings him some work, as he was...
Or he was Bobby Ray in Sweet Home Alabama.
He like nailed it. Like he was so good.
That's
and he
hilarious.
Doesn't look like him at all.
No, he doesn't.
Damn. Okay. Okay. I
Little
see you, Ethan
fun
Embry.
fact.
I see you, Ethan Embry.
I'm sitting there, I'm like, I wanted to say something, but you had your whole monologue going. I'm like, oh,
sorry.
I'm gonna save this.
I was going on a thing.
Oh, you were good.
But yeah, I mean that's all I have to say about it. I'm glad
Yes.
you enjoyed it. If you
Yes,
did not
same.
enjoy this, I would have been. I mean, we would still be friends, but I would have been upset.
No, I would have been upset at myself, honestly, if I didn't like it.
Yeah.
That is the life we live in, and it's been since the beginning. And you know we stuck in that soil, loyal. Don't be who you is.
Every time you come around, you monsters got me feeling like a monster in my own town.
I ain't no killer.
So, that does it for our discussions on The Handmaiden and Blindspotting. Once again, so far the only thing on the shelf is Outlaw King. Both movies last week did not make it, but let's see if The Handmaiden and Blindspotting will be on it. And just because I've seen both of these, and I think you probably know my answer for both of them, I will go first for both. Handmaiden, I believe it absolutely deserves to go on. It is one of the best movies, not just foreign movies, but one of the best movies made in probably the last 5 years. So I think it absolutely deserves to go on the KFR shelf.
As much as I did enjoy this movie, I do feel like it belongs on a shelf.
You actually had me there for a second.
I'm trying to do it different because I don't want to sound like my usual self.
You did really good
Because
for that
you
one.
caught me the last time.
I did. That's because you did your normal thing. So,
Yeah.
So, The Handmaiden goes on the shelf. It is the second movie to go on the shelf with Outlaw King. And now we're going on the Blindspotting, and I'm just going to rip it off like a motherfucking Band-Aid. It deserves to go on the shelf. Once again, I was worried this would not be, after a second viewing, this would not be my favorite movie of 2018, but it still is. I think it's definitely one of the most important movies of the year, if not one of the best movies of the year. So that also goes on the shelf for me.
Are we doing a twofer? Is this a twofer? 2 for 2?
You tell me.
First episode, we're doing 2 for 2. This is it. This is the one.
2 for episode.
Twofer.
That's it, guys.
2
We're
for
done.
Grace.
We're done. KFR News Radio is done.
This is it. We're dropping everything.
We can't
from
do
here.
better than this. So we got Blindspotting and The Handmaiden on the shelf with Outlaw King. And honestly, I am super stoked about that. I'm super stoked right now.
I'm looking at this shelf right now. I don't think we've got much room for anything else. That's about it.
It's a very small shelf.
We got the smallest shelf in the
Very
world.
small shelf. So let's move on to what our movies are for next week. You said that you are picking one that you know we both have seen, but you're
yes.
excited about.
When we were doing our little Letterboxd things, we were rating our movies. I passed the movie and I was like, damn, I want to see that again, but I don't know if Mike has seen it. And then I saw on your Letterboxd that you did see it, and I said, damn, Mike saw it, but I still want to see it, and I'm gonna make Kira watch it while I watch it because it's so good, at least to me. So I'm gonna go out with it. So here we go. It's got Mads Mikkelsen, or Mads Mikkelsen. I think that's how you pronounce it, Mads. Can you guess that movie?
Is it The Hunt?
Boom, baby.
Another foreign movie.
Another foreign movie.
I'm excited to watch that again. Not because I think it's good or anything. I'm just trying to build some tension, and maybe I'll hate it. I realized after last week it was completely obvious what I thought of the two movies we were picking. But I'm interested in seeing if I feel the same way about this one. But now for the movie that I'm going to pick, I kind of feel like we've been too modern with our selections lately.
Yeah.
I know you're not a big classic movie fan, and kind of before the 80s you're not a huge fan of, but you do have the odd one here and there. So I am going to go with Mean Streets, the Martin Scorsese movie from 1973, I believe. 1973, and that is available on Amazon Prime. So anyone who's listening and wants to watch that before next week's episode, you can see that on Amazon Prime. Starring directed by Martin Scorsese, starring Robert De Niro, Harvey Keitel, and David Proval. But yeah, so Mean Streets and The Hunt. Where can The Hunt be watched?
I'm pretty sure it is on Hulu.
So The Hunt on Hulu and Mean Streets on Amazon Prime. Hopefully everyone has access to those. And yeah, I'm excited to talk about this next week. As always, you can follow us on the Instagram at Keystone_film_review. I am trying to post more than just movies that we talk about on there. Yeah, and then you can also follow us on Facebook, Keystone Film Review. On Letterboxd, I am Mike KFR.
And
Glenn.
The most original name in the world, as I always say, Glenn KFR.
Ooh.
On Letterboxd.
Yeah. And
I actually just rated the shit out of some movies this week. I was at 50 and now I'm above 850 or something like that.
Ooh, I'm at 2,300 or something.
Yeah, you've definitely seen more than me.
Yeah, and I also just spent a lot of time reviewing them. But yeah, so The Hunt and Mean Streets are next week, and I'm excited.
We both are, Michael.
Ooh, well, we'll talk about that next week. I'll see you later.
See you, buddy.